I've met countless people who believe strength is about being flawless. They think powerful women are born with this untouchable aura, this perfect combination of confidence and grace that never cracks under pressure. But I can tell you, that's a lie. Strength doesn't come from perfection, it comes from resilience. It comes from falling flat on your face, getting back up, and refusing to let failure define you. I've seen it time and again. The women who thrive, who truly own their power, are not the ones who pretend they've got it all figured out. They're the ones who've been through storms, who've faced rejection, betrayal, heartbreak, and still come back stronger. Perfection is a mask. Resilience is real. It's raw. It's earned. I used to think the key to success was getting everything right, never making mistakes, never showing weakness. But the truth is, people don't connect with perfection. They connect with those who fought battles and have the scars to prove it. A powerful woman doesn't have to hide her scars. She wears them like armor. Every setback she's endured becomes part of her story, part of her strength. There's this illusion that resilience means being tough all the time, like you're made of steel. But resilience isn't about never breaking. It's about what you do when you break. Do you let life crush you, or do you rebuild yourself piece by piece? Do you let the world tell you you're not enough, or do you decide, against all odds, that you are? I think about the women I admire, leaders, entrepreneurs, mothers, activists. None of them had it easy. Every single one has a story of failure, of moments when they were underestimated, doubted, or even ridiculed. But that's the thing about resilient women. They use those moments as fuel. They let every no push them closer to their yes. They refuse to let setbacks define their worth. There's something magnetic about resilience. You can feel it when someone has been through hell and come out stronger. It's in the way they walk, the way they speak, the way they don't need to prove themselves to anyone. Perfection tries to impress people. Resilience inspires them. I remember my own turning point. There was a time when I was obsessed with being perfect in how I looked, how I worked, how I lived. It's something you're born with. It's something you develop every time life knocks you down. It's built in the quiet moments when no one's watching, when you're picking yourself up off the floor, telling yourself, this is not how my story ends. Perfection is fragile. One crack and the whole thing falls apart. But resilience is unbreakable because it's forged through pain and failure. A powerful woman doesn't strive for perfect moments. She thrives in imperfect ones. She knows that every setback is just another chance to grow stronger, wiser, tougher. When I talk to young women today, I see the pressure. They're under the pressure to be flawless, to always say the right thing, to never mess up. And I tell them the same thing. Stop chasing perfection. It's a trap. What you need is grit. What you need is the courage to fail, to get back up, and to keep moving forward when everything in you wants to quit. The world doesn't need perfect women. It needs resilient ones. It needs women who can look failure in the face and say, you don't get to define me. Women who can take the hits and still show up, still fight, still believe in themselves when nobody else does. And here's the best part of resilience, it's contagious. When you show the people around you that it's okay to fail, that it's okay to be human, you give them permission to do the same. You become a leader, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. I'm telling you now, resilience will take you further than perfection ever will. Perfection will have you hiding your flaws, pretending to be something you're not. Resilience will have you embracing your flaws, turning them into your greatest strengths. It's the difference between surviving and thriving. So if you've failed good, if you've been broken good, that's where your power begins. Every time you rise from the ashes, you become harder to break. Every time you get back up, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than the storm. I don't care how many times you've fallen. I care about how many times you've risen. Because that's what makes a powerful woman. Not her perfection, not her spotless record, but her resilience, her refusal to give up when life tries to knock her down. The next time you're faced with failure, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? That's the mindset of someone who thrives. That's the mindset of someone who knows that every setback is a setup for a comeback. So stop chasing perfect. Start building resilience. Because perfection might look good on the outside, but resilience will carry you through the fire ant. That's where real power lives. I used to spend my life trying to make everyone happy. I wanted to be liked, admired, and accepted. I'd bend over backwards to avoid conflict, say yes when I meant no, and swallow my opinions just to keep the peace. And for a while I thought it worked. People smiled, they approved, they liked me. But deep down, I felt hollow, because no matter how hard I tried, someone was always upset, someone was always critical, and I was always left wondering if I'd done enough. Then it hit me. You can't please everyone. No matter how perfect you try to be, no matter how kind or accommodating, someone will always find a reason to judge you. And if you spend your life chasing their approval, you'll lose yourself in the process. There was a time I'd post something online and immediately delete it if someone disagreed. I'd change my outfit because I thought someone might think it was too much. I'd bite my tongue when I had something important to say because I didn't want to ruffle feathers. I was living for everyone else's opinion, and it was exhausting. Worse, it was meaningless, because the people I was trying so hard to please weren't losing sleep over me. They weren't thinking about me at all. That was my wake-up call. The truth is, people will judge you whether you succeed or fail, whether you speak up or stay quiet. They'll form opinions without knowing your story, your struggles, or your heart. And the moment I stopped caring about their approval, I felt free. For the first time, I could actually hear my own voice. It's not easy though. We're wired to want acceptance. From childhood, we're taught to seek validation, to fit in, to be liked. But powerful women know this simple truth. If you're going to do anything meaningful in life, you will make some people uncomfortable. You will be criticized. And that's okay. I remember a moment when I made a tough decision in my career. Everyone had an opinion. Friends, family, strangers, online. Some called me brave, others called me foolish. The old me would have tried to win them all over, explaining myself, trying to justify every step. But this time, I stayed quiet. I let them talk, because I realized their approval didn't change the fact that I was doing what I believed in. And honestly, that felt more powerful than any applause. Here's the thing. When you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one, least of all yourself. You water down your opinions, your personality, your power. You become a version of yourself that's safe and agreeable, but not real. And the world doesn't need more people playing it safe. The world needs people who are unapologetically themselves. I've seen this with so many women in leadership or public life. The second they take a strong stance, half the world praises them while the other half tears them apart. It's unavoidable. And yet, the women who thrive are the ones who keep going anyway. They understand that criticism isn't a sign of failure, it's proof that they're making an impact. The truth is, some people won't like you no matter what you do. You could save a village from burning and someone would still complain that you didn't do it fast enough. So why waste time trying to win over people who have already made up their minds? Focus instead on those who truly matter, the ones who see you, support you, and believe in you. And above all, focus on what you think of yourself. Because if you're proud of who you are and the choices you make, that's enough. Learning this truth was liberating. I started saying no more often, not because I didn't care, but because I finally understood that my time and energy are valuable. I stopped apologizing for being ambitious, for being loud, for being different. And something amazing happened. The more I stopped trying to please everyone, the more I started attracting the right people, the ones who valued me for who I truly am, not who they wanted me to be. Now, when someone criticizes me, I ask myself, do I respect this person? Do they truly understand me? Does their opinion help me grow? If the answer is no, I let it go. Not because I'm arrogant, but because I've learned that not all feedback is worth taking to heart. Some of it is just noise, and life's too short to live for noise. If you want to thrive, you have to accept that you will be misunderstood. You will be judged. You will have people who don't like you simply because you stand for something they don't agree with. And that's not your problem. So, I've stopped being the people pleaser. I've stopped editing myself to fit into someone else's version of acceptable. And you know what? I'm happier, I'm stronger, I'm free. Because I'd rather be disliked for who I truly am than loved for a version of me that isn't real. I used to believe success was about talent, luck, or being in the right place at the right time. I thought if I just worked hard enough, everything would fall into place without me having to give up much. But the deeper I went into my journey, the clearer it became. Success always comes with a price. If you want to achieve something truly meaningful, you have to be willing to sacrifice. No one talks about the quiet sacrifices, the nights you stay out working when everyone else is asleep, the weekends you give up, the parties you miss, the friendships that fade because your priorities change. People see the finished product, the highlight reel, but they rarely see the hours of pain and struggle behind it. I've lived those moments. I've sat alone at my desk while everyone I knew was out having fun, and I questioned if it was worth it. But deep down, I knew this was the cost of building something bigger than myself. It's easy to want success. Everyone says they want it, but wanting it isn't enough. You have to be willing to let go of comfort, to endure discomfort, and to face the loneliness that comes with chasing something extraordinary. I learned early on that if I wanted a different life, I had to stop living like everyone else. I couldn't say yes to every invitation or spend hours on things that didn't bring me closer to my goals. That's not selfishness, that's discipline. I've seen people give up their dreams because they weren't ready to make the hard choices. They wanted success, but they didn't want to sacrifice sleep, money, or time. They didn't want to risk failure. And that's the thing. Sacrifice isn't just about what you give up. It's about what you risk. You risk being misunderstood. You risk people calling you obsessed. You risk putting everything into something that might not work. But if you don't risk it, you'll never know how far you could have gone. There were times when I questioned myself. I remember missing family gatherings because I was so consumed with work. I felt guilty, torn between my ambition and the people I loved. But I also realized something powerful. My sacrifices weren't permanent. They were investments. Every hour I spent building my vision was an hour that would eventually create more freedom for me and the people I care about. Success is not a straight path. It's full of trade-offs. This is the difference. This is the price. While most people quit when it gets uncomfortable, I keep going. And that's when I understood that sacrifice isn't a punishment, it's the gateway to everything you want. Of course, sacrifice doesn't mean you have to lose everything. It's about choosing what matters most. Sometimes that means saying no to good things so you can say yes to the great things. It's about letting go of distractions, toxic relationships, and habits that hold you back. It's about having the courage to focus on the bigger picture when the world tells you to settle for less. The hardest part is that most people won't understand your sacrifices. They'll see you working late and call you obsessed. They'll see you decline invitations and think you're cold or distant. But they won't see the vision in your head. They won't feel the fire in your heart. And that's okay. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the life you're building. Looking back, every sacrifice I made taught me something about myself. I learned that I'm stronger than I ever thought. I learned that discipline is freedom. I learned that the more you give to your dreams, the more they give back. And when success finally comes, when you start seeing the results of all those long nights and hard choices, it feels worth every single thing you gave up. People often ask me, how do you stay motivated? The truth is, I'm not always motivated. Motivation fades. But the willingness to sacrifice, that's what keeps me going. I know that every time I choose the harder path, I'm getting closer to the life I want. Every sacrifice is like a brick, and over time, those bricks build something unshakable. Success is not about luck or shortcuts. It's about the daily decisions to prioritize your future over your comfort. It's about understanding that the things you want most require you to give up the things you want now. And while it's hard, it's also liberating. Because once you embrace sacrifice, you stop waiting for success to happen, you create it. So, if you're chasing something big, ask yourself, what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to risk? Because at the end of the day, success doesn't come to those who wish for it. It comes to those who are willing to pay the price. And when you do, the life you build will be worth every single sacrifice you made to get there. I used to think respect was something you begged for, something you earned by pleasing people, being agreeable, or waiting for someone to acknowledge your worth. But I learned the hard way that respect doesn't come from trying to win people over. It comes from confidence. Real, unapologetic confidence. The kind that says, I know who I am, I know what I bring to the table, and I don't need your approval to validate me. The truth is, people can sense confidence before you even say a word. It's in the way you walk into a room, the way you carry yourself, and the way you speak. Confidence isn't about arrogance, it's about certainty. It's about being so sure of your value that no one's opinion can shake you. That's when people start paying attention. That's when respect is earned. I remember a time when I lacked that kind of confidence. I would overthink every word, every action, hoping not to upset anyone. I was always seeking validation, waiting for someone to tell me I was good enough. And guess what? No one did. People don't respect someone who's constantly shrinking themselves just to be liked. Respect isn't given to those who blend in, it's given to those who stand tall, even when it's uncomfortable. Confidence isn't loud or flashy. It's quiet strength. It's knowing you don't have to prove anything to anyone because your presence, your energy speaks for itself. When you walk into a room and you know you belong there, people feel it. They may not even know why, but they'll respect you because you respect yourself. One thing I've learned is that confidence is built, not given. It comes from keeping promises to yourself, from showing up even when it's hard, from doing the things that scare you until they don't scare you anymore. Every challenge I overcame added a layer of confidence I didn't have before. And with every layer, I stopped caring less about who approved of me and cared more about who I truly was. There's a powerful shift that happens when you stop chasing respect and start radiating confidence. People who once doubted you start to listen. Those who overlooked you begin to notice. And those who disrespected you realize they can't walk over someone who knows their own worth. I think about all the women I admire, leaders, creators, change makers. None of them begged for respect. They earned it through the way they carry themselves, through their conviction and courage. They didn't wait for permission to speak up or shine. They just did it. And that's what confidence looks like. Confidence is contagious. When you own who you are, you inspire others to do the same. You show them what's possible when you stop hiding and start living authentically. And that's when you realize respect isn't about being the loudest person in the room. I used to think respect came from titles, achievements, or approval. But none of that matters if you don't respect yourself first. When you believe in your value, you stop needing to prove it. You stop letting other people's opinions define you. And in that space of self-assurance, people have no choice but to respect you, even if they don't like you. The truth is, confidence isn't about never feeling fear or doubt. I still get nervous. I still have moments of insecurity, but I choose to show up anyway. I choose to stand tall even when I'm unsure. Because real confidence isn't about having all the answers, it's about trusting yourself to figure it out along the way. Respect is earned when you refuse to settle for less than you deserve. It's earned when you set boundaries and don't apologize for them. It's earned when you carry yourself with dignity and self-belief, even when no one is cheering for you. I've learned that confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you practice every single day. It's built by facing rejection, by learning from failure, and by continuing to move forward when it would be easier to quit. Every time you bet on yourself, you're telling the world, I'm worth it. And the world listens. So, I've stopped chasing respect. I've stopped trying to impress everyone. Instead, I focus on building confidence, on showing up as the real me, unapologetically, and that's the secret. Respect isn't something you ask for, it's something you attract when you believe in yourself. And once you have that kind of confidence, there's no limit to what you can achieve.